How's it going, everybody? Void here, coming back at you all with another Commander deck tech video. This time I'm going to do something a little bit more Halloween themed. I don't know if I've ever done a Halloween themed deck tech before, but there's a first time for everything, I suppose. Liliana, Heretical Healer. The theme is going to be around 2/2 zombie tokens, so about, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the deck, I would say, is made up of cards that either make you 2/2 zombies or have some kind of secondary ability that will result in you getting more 2/2s. That's the theme, and 2/2 zombies are very popular in Commander. They're one of the more common tokens that you can create. And I chose Liliana, Heretical Healer because not only does she have a trigger that gets you a 2/2 zombie, her Planeswalker side forces discard, which synergizes with other things like Waste Not, which will get us more 2/2 zombies. So for those of you who don't know, Liliana, Heretical Healer is a 3-mana legendary human cleric, a 2/3 with lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile her, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. If you do, you get a 2/2 zombie. And you can't see it here because tapped out is a pain to deal with sometimes, but Liliana Defiant Necromancer is the Planeswalker. Her +2 is each player discards a card, which is great for those Waste Not triggers. She has a -X, return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield, and her ult is a -8. You get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So she's pretty powerful in her Planeswalker form, especially if you can get that ult off. You shouldn't really have to worry about whether or not she's going to put work in the game. Now for the boring part of the deck, we're playing 37 lands. We have Bojuka Bog, Cabal Coffers, Cabal Stronghold just to get us some more mana, Castle Lochthwain to give us some card draw, Crypt of Agadeem, more mana, but it's focused on creatures in our graveyard, Myriad Landscape to get more of those swamps, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, another big mana producing land, and Phyrexian Tower. We should have a ton of these tokens. Feel free to sacrifice them and get double the mana. We have 28 basic swamps and 1 Urborg because of the whole Cabal Coffers interaction. Now going over the biggest part of the deck, which is what I mentioned before, 2/2 zombies. These are just cards that will create 2/2 zombies in some way, shape, or form. So if you really love the token, you might want to play this deck because it's really just focused on this specific token. You don't have to make a token deck where you need all kinds of tokens. Here you only really need 1 or 2. Crypt Breaker, 1 mana, we can pay 2 and tap it to discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. We could tap 3 untapped zombies to draw a card and lose a life. So very versatile zombie, fantastic for tribal decks anyway. Dark Salvation, target player puts X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, then up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each zombie that player controls. So it doubles as removal, could end up giving us a ton of those tokens too. Graph Harvest, zombies we control have Menace, which is already fantastic, but it has an ability for 4 mana. We can exile a creature card from our graveyard to get a 2/2 zombie. We have Dread Summons, another X spell. Each player puts the top X cards of their library onto the battlefield. We have Dread Summons, another X spell. Each player puts the top X cards of their library into their graveyard. For each creature card put into a graveyard that way, you get a 2/2 zombie onto the battlefield tapped. We have Graveyard Marshal. You can pay 3 mana to exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a tapped 2/2 black zombie. We have Waste Not, as I mentioned before. Fantastic with our commander. Once she's in her Planeswalker form, we can force everybody to discard, and then you get the value that is Waste Not. So whenever they discard a creature card, you get a 2/2 zombie. Whenever an opponent discards a land, you get 2 black mana. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, you draw a card. One of the best black cards in the game. Zombie Infestation, we can discard 2 cards to create a 2/2 black zombie. Not the best card. Obviously, you're going to lose a lot of card advantage just to create 1 2/2, but sometimes it's worth it earlier in the game. And it's worth it because we do have cards like Bridge from Below. So if it's in the graveyard, it's going to put in some work. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if it is in your graveyard, you put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, and whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, you then have to exile it from your graveyard. So hopefully that doesn't happen too soon. Cemetery Reaper, other zombies you control get +1/+1. You can pay 3 mana and tap it to exile a creature card from a graveyard, any graveyard, and you get a 2/2 black zombie creature token We have Curse of Disturbance and Curse of Shallow Graves to kind of do a similar thing. However, Curse of Disturbance is a little bit better because it doesn't matter which player is attacking that player who's cursed, you will end up getting a 2/2 zombie. Diregraph Colossus enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, you get a 2/2 zombie. Liliana's Devotee, zombies you control get +1 power. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you can pay 2 mana. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, which is always nice. And we do have some more Lilianas because more Lilianas create 2/2 zombies. Last Hope has a +1 up to 1 target creature gets -2/-1 until your next turn. Her -2 is put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you can return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And her ult is amazing. You get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step, you put X 2/2 black zombies onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. So even if you have 0, you'll get 2. Oath of Liliana. Since our commander's a Liliana, this is pretty much an auto-include. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacks a creature, and at the beginning of each end step, if a planeswalker entered the battlefield under your control this turn, you get a 2/2 zombie. Timurit Calls the Dead. The first 2 lore counters are going to get you a 2/2 zombie. This is only if you choose to exile a creature or enchantment card from your graveyard though, so be careful about that. The third lore counter says you gain X life and scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control, so very cool card to have if you need to scry to the cards you need to gain some more life. Zathrid Necromancer. Whenever Zathrid Necromancer or another human creature you control dies, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. We do have some humans in the deck. We have Liliana's Devotee. I think Liliana herself is a human. We have a way to get more 2/2s. Empty the Pits is a delve instant. We put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped. A lot of mana we have to spend to get the value, but at instant speed, I think it's worth it. Endless Ranks of the Dead. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. We have Josuve's Lich Knight. I think this is about the only different token we'll need. So if you pay his kicker cost and spend 10 mana to play him, you will get 8 2/2 black zombie knight creature tokens with Menace, which are obviously better than your standard 2/2 zombie. But they're still 2/2 zombies, so awesome inclusion and obviously related to our commander. Kalitas, Trader of Get. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls will die, you instead exile that card and put a 2/2 zombie onto the battlefield. And you can pay 3 mana and sacrifice another vampire or zombie to put 2 +1/+1 counters on them. Liliana's Reaver has Death Touch, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you create a tapped 2/2 black zombie. Rank Officer enters the battlefield. You may discard a card. If you do, you get a 2/2 zombie. And you can pay 2 mana, tap it, and exile a creature from your graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. Awaken the Erstwhile is fantastic if you combine it with Waste Not. So each player discards all the cards in their hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. We have Bone Miser, which is not going to be as powerful as Waste Not, but it's still a card that can get us a 2/2 zombie. Whenever we discard a creature card, we get a 2/2 zombie. Whenever we discard a land card, we add 2 black. And whenever we discard a non-creature, non-land card, we get to draw a card. From under the floorboards as a madness cost, we can create 3 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens and we gain 3 life. If its madness cost was paid, we instead create X of those tokens and we gain X life. We have Ghoulcaller Giza, which was kind of a tough decision for me, which one I wanted to choose for the 2/2 zombie commander. She has a really good ability and could honestly be the commander for this deck, but I just like the discard synergies that you get with Liliana. But you can pay a black and tap her to sack another creature. You create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens where X is that creature's power. Liliana's Mastery. Zombies you control get +1/+1, so it takes them out of Elesh Norn range. And when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. We have Liliana Death's Majesty. Her +1 is create a 2/2 black zombie creature token and put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Her -3 is return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. And her ult is a -7, destroy all non-zombie creatures. Open the Graves. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you create a 2/2 black zombie. Siphon Flesh. Each other player sacks a creature. You put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield for each creature sacked that way. We have the awesome Grave Titan. Whenever it enters or attacks, you put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens into play. Also has Death Touch. Liliana Dreadhorde General. Whenever a creature you control dies, you get to draw a card, or +1 creates a 2/2 zombie. Her -4 is each player sacks 2 creatures, and her ult is a -9. Each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacks the rest. So that's a pretty powerful win con. New Scraff Mob enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters whenever a player casts a spell. Remove a counter from it. If you do, you get a 2/2 zombie. Stir the Sands. For 6 mana, you can create 3 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, a cycling cost of 4. Whenever you cycle Stir the Sands, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. We have Never to return. The Never part destroys target creature or planeswalker for 3 mana at sorcery speed. The return part is an Aftermath of 4 mana. You exile target creature card from a graveyard and then create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Overseer of the Damned. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can destroy target creature. And whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Army of the Damned, 8 mana sorcery. Create 13 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, a flashback cost of 10 to do the same exact thing. So a lot of those tokens. We do have some draw in here to help out the strategy. We have Skull Clamp. We do have 2/2 tokens that don't die when equipped to Skull Clamp, so it is a little bit worse. We have Sign in Blood. We have Undead Augur. So whenever it or another zombie you control dies, you get to draw a card and lose a life. Fantastic for just a 2 mana creature. We have Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of our upkeep, we draw a card and we lose a life. We have Read the Bones. We have Geth's Grimoire because our commander, Inner Planeswalker form, has a +1 that forces each player to discard a card. So after doing that, you'll be able to draw more cards. We have Graveborn Muse. At the beginning of our upkeep, we draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of zombies we control. We have some graveyard synergies because, well, we want to get some of these back. We have Phyrexian Delver. Enters the battlefield, we return target creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield and lose a life equal to its converted mana cost. We have Gravespawn Sovereign. Pretty underrated card, and I do like how in Onslaught, you just had a lot of these tribal cards that required you to tap a certain number of creatures of that type. But you can tap 5 untapped zombies you control to put target creature card from a graveyard into play under your control. So, just a sweet card. And then we have Rot Hulk. When it enters the battlefield, we return up to X target zombie cards from our graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of opponents we have. So if we have 3, we can get 3 back from our graveyard to the battlefield. We have some ramp, because obviously we need a little bit of it. Can't just be nothing but 2/2 zombie stuff. We have Soul Ring, we have Wayfarer's Bauble, Charcoal Diamond, Jet Medallion, Mind Stone, Heraldic Banner. Also nice if we have a lot of tokens that are just 2/2s, we can make them 3/2s. We have Nyx Lotus, give us a lot of black mana. And we have Caged Sun, another Anthem, so makes our 2/2 tokens 3/3s. And we do have some removal. We have Feed the Swarm, we can destroy target creature or enchantment. An opponent controls, we lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. Fantastic to have a spell that can finally deal with enchantments. We have Liliana's Triumph, more of a synergy card for Liliana. Each opponent sacks a creature. If we control a Liliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. So hopefully we have a Waste Not out there, and we can do Liliana's plus in addition to this. We have Deadly Rollick. If we control our commander, we can play it for free. We exile target creature for 4 mana. Settle the Score, we can exile target creature. We put 2 loyalty counters on a planeswalker we control, which is just amazing. If we can get to her ult, which is again a pretty powerful one, creatures that are dying are going to come back under our control. And then we have Noxious Ghoul. This is another pretty underrated card. Whenever it or another zombie enters the battlefield, all non-zombie creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. So if you have an Army of the Damned, that's a lot of -1/-1s you're going to be handing out to your opponent's creatures. And then we have Necromantic Selection. We destroy all creatures. Then we return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under our control. It becomes a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Fantastic card for zombie decks because we can just destroy everything, take what was likely the best creature and make it a zombie for our deck, for our strategy. So anyway guys, that's the deck pretty much. A bunch of 2/2 zombie synergies. I always wanted to make a deck like this. I might do one for 1/1 white soldiers. It just seemed like there were so many cards that just created 2/2 zombies. But anyway, you all have a happy October. Have a happy Halloween here coming up. See you all next time. Void here signing off.